sit enjoying the shade.
Hey, brother, pour the wine.
Drink the drink that I have made.
Hey, brother, pour the wine.
Good evening. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Drink in the Style, brought to you by Habitation Furnishing and Design. I'm your host, Gregory Rich, and I'm going to help you kill your Saturday and Sunday early evenings with some booze and conversation. I changed that up because we are now airing here in Minneapolis on both Saturdays and Sunday. Saturdays at, what is it, Brett, 6 p.m.?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Time, yes.
That's prime time.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
Greg's going to go home and draw a bubble bath and listen to his radio show on Saturday night.
That's what I always do. It's just usually the podcast.
Bath salts, anyone?
I did just get actually a whole new shipment of Epsom salts, eucalyptus scented.
Oh, I dig that, though. I dig that.
Right? Mm-hmm. Top notch. It makes your skin baby soft, soothes your muscles, and yeah, we aren't going anywhere further on that. So my guest this evening is the man that Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine likes to refer to as the Style Maker. I researched you. Mr. Carter Averbeck from Omforme Studio in Minneapolis. Carter, how are you?
I'm doing great.
How does it feel to be a style maker?
I was born to be that.
You were born to be a
Yes.
style maker. Carter is an extraordinary individual in the design and art community. We're going to be talking about not just general design, but we're also going to be talking about the vintage furniture that he recreates, which is awe-inspiring, the art that he creates as well, and a whole bunch of other things. And it's going to be really, really interesting because we have an interesting cocktail created by our dedicated coctologist who is back in the United States, Dan Newkirk. Welcome home.
Thanks. Good to be back.
How was Mexico? Anything you can tell us about?
Yeah, I learned how to surf.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
I definitely enjoyed walking through small fishing, surfing villages and kind of hanging out.
So you did like a solo trek through Mexico.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's absolutely crazy. What part of Mexico?
Well, I flew into Puerto Vallarta because that was the cheapest and the fastest because it's only a 4-hour direct flight.
Nice.
And then I headed north up to Sayulita, which is a well-known like surf hippie community.
Okay.
But I walked all the way up there, so it was like 20 miles up the coastline. It was awesome, like little old grannies, making tortillas on the ground. I was like, oh, that's where I need to eat.
So you
Everything
just
was
stayed
amazing.
on the coast?
Yeah, it was super dope.
That's solid. You stepping over dead bodies on the way or anything, or not?
No.
No risks, no drug cartel shootings.
What happens in Mexico stays in Mexico, my friend.
I killed 3 people and I learned to surf. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we are straying a little bit from the coctology menu that we would normally have embraced, which is usually a very strong brown liquor-based type of a cocktail, and instead tell our listeners what Mr. Averbeck has requested.
Well, the request that I got last night while I was out with some friends at a silent auction, I get a text of, do you know what are you cool with doing a death in the afternoon? I was like, oh my God, we're going to die in the afternoon. So Death in the Afternoon, a nice cocktail that Ernest Hemingway kind of coined because he used to drink these in the afternoon and get just schnookered.
Well, he died drinking one of them.
Well, yes,
But he killed himself
He drank them on a
before,
regular basis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's champagne with absinthe. And now, of course, back in the day, everybody seeing the Green Fairy, they don't make that absinthe that way anymore. This is American absinthe.
Yeah.
Americanized absinthe. But it still has strong notes of anise and wormwood, which I am not a fan of. We did our warm-up shot, and all you guys were like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, I want to die. So the drink really is hitting home for me.
Afternoon.
Yeah, we're good. We're killing it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, for listeners out there, by way of just a little bit of historical background, absinthe is a green liqueur that was extremely popular basically through all of history, and especially in the early part of the 20th century among the European-based American literati. Ernest Hemingway, F. Scott Fitzgerald, the whole crew from Midnight in Paris, if you'd like.
This is the drink for masochists because, man.
It is. So it's like an anise forward green liqueur that had traditionally been infused with a hallucinogen called wormwood. So the writers would sit on the banks of the Seine, they would sip their absinthe, and they would basically hallucinate, eventually getting the name the Green Fairy for the bottle of liquor that who would appear at some point and help inspire them as a muse. Is that correct,
Yes,
Carter?
that is correct. Yep.
See? Insane depths of useless knowledge overall. It then became illegal. It was banned in the 30s, I think.
Well, it was
Banned in
during
the United States.
Prohibition. During
Even in Europe,
Prohibition.
too.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. During Prohibition, of course, it was banned.
Yeah.
Even in Europe, it became banned because of the wormwood, even though they had other alcohol available. And then a handful of years ago, it kind of made a comeback, but it made a comeback without the hallucinogen properties.
Yeah.
So it's still an insanely strong liquor. Any idea what the proof is on that?
A lot.
Yeah.
That'll work.
We're feeling great.
All right. So there it is. That's the background of absinthe. So, Brett, hit us with some mixing music.
So,
and Dan, walk us through this catastrophe.
honestly, we're just going to put some bitters, 1 ounce per, and then top with some bubbles. I'm going to chill the absinthe to help me a little bit, but screw you guys.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we're pouring. We have an ice-filled Yari. Is that correct?
Hey! Buzzword.
Thank you very much. You can learn more about Yaris in the upcoming Drinking the Style Compendium. We'll talk about that soon. All right. So you've got 2 shots of absinthe going in. You're making 4 drinks, so it's the equivalent of half a shot per.
Oh, it's 1 ounce per.
All right, 1 ounce per. What kind of bitters are you using?
I think we're going to do the first one with a little bit of lemon.
First one, you're ambitious.
And this one, we're going to have just one. And cedar and cloves.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's like spa day. Except you drink it.
Seriously. All right, so you've mixed the bitters and the absinthe, but you have not mixed in the champagne yet. So you're mixing that up in the Yari, maybe a half dozen revolutions.
Man, this is the easiest drink we've ever made on the show. This is great.
Right.
So you should thank me at least for that.
Oh, yeah, I'll thank you, all right, after the show. Jesus.
All right, so you're pouring in the absinthe bitters mix, which has been chilled into a, what do you call these glasses? Champagne flute?
Champagne flute.
Now you're adding a good deal of bitters.
No, I mean, 1 eyedropper is usually the way to go, but I'm doing half because I'm going to split the difference
Awesome.
with the 2 different bitters.
Okay. So basically, you were just cooling down the absinthe. You were not blending the...
Yeah, I didn't dilute very much. I just wanted to get it a little bit more room temperature friendly.
Okay. Additional bitters. You're going heavy on the bitters.
Salt and pepper cocktails, my friend.
Yeah, no, amen to that. And then we've got our bubbles. What specifically have you chosen?
This is Mum, so it can't be called champagne, but it's the same thing. It just comes out of California.
Okay, sparkling wine.
And I'm also going to hit it with a tincture. You boys want to go rosemary or vanilla?
Rosemary.
Excellent. Rosemary it shall be. All right. Dude, this is making like the perfect color for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, that's what I was going for, Greg.
Yeah, well done. Thanks of all the Irish, Albanian.
Yeah, that's one hell of a hybrid.
Things could not go worse. All right, we got it mixed up. We're going to try this over the break, and when we come back, we're going to tell you what we think about death in the afternoon and how much damage this thing does to us. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Drinking the Style. Stick with us.
Out of town were the people I knew. I had that feeling of... My story is much too sad to be told, but practically everything leaves me totally cold. The only exception I know is the case when I'm out on a quiet spree, fighting vainly.
Ladies and
the old
gentlemen, welcome back to Drink in the Style. 1 hour conversation about art, architecture, design, pretty much anything aesthetic. We're enjoying the sounds of Frank Sinatra here in the year 2020 as we work through his entire body of work starting in 1950. I am your host, Gregory Rich, and my guest today is a fixture in the Minneapolis design community, Mr. Carter Averbeck. All right, Carter, you get a chance to talk in this segment. Are you excited?
Yay. Woohoo. That's fantastic.
Hey, nice. I love
Let's
the
see if I can
enthusiasm.
keep up with you.
Yeah, no, I'm drinking death in the afternoon, and yeah, no.
Which means I can keep up with you.
Yeah.
This is so going to descend into some kind of drunken rant about the Welsh. It's just unavoidable. All right, let's talk about you, Carter. There's so many things we could discuss. I'm not exactly sure where we should start. But
I know. I'm a Renaissance man, which is hard to describe because Renaissance people in general were like common before like 21st century. And now we aren't. We're like the super chupacabra rarity.
It's absolutely true. Now we're in an age of specialization. You do one thing, that's all you do. And, it comes from a time, the Renaissance thing, I think, comes from a time when people thought that maybe they could master everything and know everything. And then we realized you can't, and people instead decided to focus endlessly
Well,
on...
not everything, but several things.
100%. But you are indeed a Renaissance man. So let's start with your studio, Omforme.
Yes.
Say it.
Omforme.
Beautiful. The more you say Omforme, the more you enjoy saying Omforme.
Yeah, I wish other people would say that, but they just say Omforme.
Oh.
Which is fine. As long as they call me to do some work, I'm good with it.
Is that an ox in the grand or an ox in the gu? Like over that makes the noise. I'm serious.
Omforme.
Omforme.
Right, but it's got the thing over the.
Yeah.
Is it ox in the grand or is it ox in the gu?
I don't understand those words.
It's the thing over the top of the.
It's at the end.
Okay, yeah. I think it's the ox in the gu.
The ox and the gu.
I
All right.
took French for a couple years.
Omforme.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I can read it, but I don't know what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I no souffle. That's what I've got. It's good.
Soufflé?
But I can sound really, really arrogant. So I'm halfway to speaking French.
Oh, wow.
Tell me about Omforme.
Well, for those of us who aren't Norwegian, it is a Norwegian term, and it just means to transform.
It's Norwegian. It's not even French. Here we are picking on
Yeah.
the French, and you're
I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seriously.
it's a Norwegian word, omforme, to transform. As you can tell by my blonde hair, which I don't have, I'm Norwegian.
Wait, you?
The straight face. I wasn't sure if he was
I was
serious
confused.
or
I'm
not.
like, you're
Wait, what?
blonde, but you actually dye your hair brunette. All right, fair enough. You are a man of you dance to your own drummer. That's fine. All right, Omforme, which is now we've learned Norwegian, transformation, and why have you called your studio Omforme?
Because I transform furniture, transform rooms, transform homes, and in essence, you're transforming people's lives. I mean, by doing design work for them, making their
100%.
homes better.
100%.
Yeah.
So one of your trademark skills as a Renaissance man is the recreation of vintage furniture.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. When you and I became friends, when we first started talking, you were at that point, I think, recovering and redeveloping furniture, and you were dipping it in
Rubber.
to take indoor furniture, vintage indoor furniture, and turn it into usable outdoor furniture.
Well, yeah, because I wanted certain Liberace pieces of furniture to look really cool outdoors without getting ruined. So, in my weird mind, the best way to do that was like, oh, I'm just going to have it dipped in rubber.
Okay, which
And-
makes sense theoretically.
And then I would have to go through the process of finding somebody who could do that and then convincing them that they should dip my sofas, chairs, tables, and everything in their giant rubber vats.
And sidebar, Michael Douglas crushed Liberace in the movie.
Yes, he did.
Oh my God, awesome movie.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, you should see it.
Really? What's it called?
Liberace.
Is it time for a commercial break, Brad?
And yeah, Matt Damon is co-starring. It's actually a really awesome
Actually,
movie.
I don't watch TV, but I did watch that.
Yeah, no, I outstanding movie. I'm actually a huge fan of him because of that movie. I didn't really have any background on him.
Interesting.
I wasn't old enough.
I started with remember Bugs Bunny cartoons used to reference Liberace. I wish my brother George was here when he was doing it. I don't know how we got off on that. I want to talk more about furniture.
Yeah.
So you reclaimed so you take vintage pieces.
I take vintage pieces. I mean, basically what I am is a sustainable interior designer.
Okay.
So, that doesn't mean anything to most people until I tell them exactly what it is. And basically, I know that most furniture that you see in big box stores are just a regurgitation or replication of something they saw 25 to 30 years beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I collect those pieces and I reimagine them and I turn them into works of art, not only just to get into the homes of people, but I've been lucky enough to have people who own some major galleries call me up and say, "Hey, we know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had furniture as art in our galleries, and we want to showcase you."
Mm-hmm.
So do you
Like,
actually? Can you sit on?
Oh
said
yeah,
furniture?
you can sit. I mean, you can do anything you.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if
normally
it was like, hey, this chair is for show only.
No,
you
the
sit on it,
beauty of
you're
it-
done.
That's your grandmother.
Okay.
Put it in
But-
plastic.
Take the plastic off.
For
Yeah.
me, it's literally about two things. How do you save furniture from a landfill that's really well made compared to what you find nowadays? Because we don't all know about fast furniture, but fast furniture exists. It's crap that lasts for 3 to 5 years and then it goes into a landfill
I
because
think
it
the
falls
word
apart.
you're looking for is IKEA.
Well, IKEA's a bit of it, but IKEA sort of like knows who they are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of companies mask that and say
course.
that they're fantastic when they really aren't.
Right.
Restoration hardware.
Oh, I didn't hear that at all.
Was that subliminal? Did that
They're
work
called
as a subliminal?
RH now.
Oh yeah, you're right. No,
But the thing is that there's, I pick up furniture from a time period where they really actually paid attention to craftsmanship, and it's just like giving a new hairstyle. You just change it out, you make it absolutely spectacular, and then it's something that isn't off a mass production line. It's something that's tailored to what you want or what you like. So if you're looking for a red sofa and you can't find it anywhere or anything you like, because there's a style that you like from the 1940s, 50s, or 60s, I probably have the furniture, and all I need to do is reupholster it to make you happy.
Well, as I can attest to, is like every furniture piece that I moved for any of my grandparents over the years, they built stuff to last back then.
Yes, they did.
So like, I totally get what you're saying. And
it was built by someone.
Right.
It didn't just come off some kind of an assembly line where legs,
Yeah.
springs,
blood, sweat, and tears
covers.
were put in.
Oh, I have furniture where people have signed their name on it.
Really?
Yeah,
pretty
it's
cool.
amazing.
That's pretty cool.
And it's going to last a century or more.
Yeah.
100%. And it's more than, and also, I mean, you do the reupholstering, and the covers, but then you also do a huge transformation to the pieces in many cases as well.
Yeah, I don't just turn it into something beige.
No. Well said.
And a lot of people want that safety net. I'm sorry to say, I don't give that kind of safety net. I really turned it into a unique piece of art, something that's a statement piece. So half the time, if you're looking for something really interesting and all you go and see is beige, gray, or taupe, coming to me, you're not going to get that. You're going to get something that you really want.
You've got to know. You gotta. Don't be a pushover with Carter. He will not allow. You will have something extraordinary. We're going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to continue this conversation because this is some interesting stuff. Stick with us.
That away from me, we may never. It was winter in Manhattan, falling snowflakes filled the air. The streets were covered with a
There's still a Bing Crosby
film
in
of
this.
ice.
Agreed.
But a
completely.
little
Welcome back
simple
to Drinking This Style Sundays at 5 p.m. and now Saturdays at 7 p.m. Right here on AM 950 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, available as a streamer podcast, Drink in the Style. You can check all that out. Before we get back to Carter, a note on today's musical selection. Tracks are off of Frank Sinatra's 1954 Young Lovers studio album. A solid album, not one of my favorites ever. It had a transitional period between, as Carter, you've pointed out, when Sinatra was kind of a Bing Crosby-esque crooner, and before he fully blossomed into a stylist and a swinging creator of stylized music. But let me ask you, are you a Sinatra fan?
I love Frank Sinatra. Actually, I love it when he was trying to stylize after Bing Crosby and also when he found himself. I love that evolution because anybody who's creative, truly creative, loves to watch people who they are inspired by also evolve.
Which highlights to My Way.
Oh, yeah.
Culminates.
Yeah,
in My Way,
that's when it
absolutely.
happens.
Which actually he did not like as a song.
Of course he didn't, because he was an artist.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean?
A lot of artists are very hard on themselves.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Not going there. No, Sinatra. You're a Sinatra fan. We've learned this
totally.
over the discussion, and it's absolutely true. I mean, he was a crooner. He was the Justin Bieber of his day.
Ugh.
At the early point, he was.
Well, actually, even at the early point, he wasn't the Justin Bieber of his day.
Tell me.
Because that was a different generation than what we have now. So Justin Bieber came up as a child prodigy that was more associated with Michael Jackson than something that Frank Sinatra would ever do. So Michael Jackson had this amazing sort of like interpretation of how to sing a song that was so different than his brothers, and their abhorrent father figured it out, because at least his father was smart enough to realize when opportunity exists and went, oh my God, we're going to take this 7-year-old and we're going to turn him into something amazing, which he did.
Well, fair enough. I mean, yeah, there's a certain amount of credit. But when I talk about Justin Bieber of his day, what I'm saying is that Sinatra in the 1930s, when he made the trip from Hoboken, New Jersey, across the river into New York, and suddenly became kind of a crooner as a junior version of Bing Crosby, copying, crib noting, if you will, his style and his tones. He was an unpopular figure in the sense that he seemed like he was not creating anything original. And he could have simply been passed over at a certain point, except that at a certain point he developed his own sense of self.
Well, it's like Georgia O'Keeffe, who copied, other artists and went, oh my God, this is stupid. I'm going to do my own thing now that I know how to, now that I know how the skills to do this kind of work, I'm going to do my own thing, which means she was following the Picasso theory of learn your craft really well. And then you have the ability to find your own voice.
All right, so you just opened the door on my key question that I give to artists, because we've had a number of really fabulous artists on the program, and I'm so proud of that. Here's my question to you as an artist. Do you need to master realism before you can branch into creative art? Do you have to be a Rembrandt before you can be a Picasso?
You have to master your own personal limits of your skill. And even beyond.
Know thyself, yeah.
No, exactly. Know thyself before you go somewhere forward. And the way that I can express that is Kandinsky. So Kandinsky tried to be a real artist, except that he sucked at it. He sucked at it.
Don't let me spit take my death in the afternoon.
So, I mean, he and the brilliance of him is that he knew it. But then he figured out how to develop something that hadn't happened before. And so he became the father of avant-garde art, because at least he knew what his skill set was. And he knew how to brand that in the early 20th century really well. And he became who he was as a father of avant-garde art in Russia, of all places.
The most repressive and regressive of states.
Yeah.
So you're saying, no, you do not have to master realism to express yourself. But you do have to try.
You do have to try, and in the form of Picasso or many other artists, including myself. I mean, I'm a trained fresco artist.
By the way, folks, if you can check out some of Carter's work, the murals, the art creations, some fabulous stuff. I mean, you do awesome stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. but I trained over in Europe, right? So, I mean, I know how to make artwork out of like chicken eggs and beer and, you know, all the ingredients they use.
It's like voodoo. Yeah.
All the ingredients
Just
they used,
mix
you
it
know,
up.
a couple of centuries ago.
Yeah.
And so when I would go into people's homes and I would be using these natural ingredients, they would sit there and film me or photograph me because I was creating artwork out of like something other than acrylic paint or oil paint that you can buy at a grocery store. Right? And it was
Okay,
crazy.
I have to cut in real quick because we're all party to this. I recommend any of our listeners that listen on AM 950 on either Saturday or Sunday, log on to Facebook Live and watch the show. The amount of hand talking that goes on at this table is ridiculous.
I don't know what
Every
you're talking
single one of us
I
are
have
doing things.
no idea what
we're
you're
all
talking
doing
about.
things. The hand talking, it just tickles me pink.
It's enough to throw a deaf person into an epileptic seizure. I mean, everything.
There's so much hand talking going on.
But
And I'm
you know,
a
when
party as well.
I came from Cornish Institute where I got a fine arts degree, and then I submitted my portfolio to a fresco master over in Europe, and I thought I'm never going to get in because my portfolio sucks, right? And I thought, yeah, fine, I'm going to submit, but I'm never going to get anywhere. And then I got accepted, right, into this program over in Barcelona, Spain. And I thought, oh my God, they're going to think of me as a fraud, right? Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And the whole point is that he looked at my portfolio and he thought, oh, this person's dedicated. He's got potential. He saw a bigger picture than what I was seeing at the time. And so I went over to Barcelona, Spain, and I learned the art of fresco painting. And I thought, this is crazy. What the hell am I doing? Learning an ancient art that isn't practiced anymore.
And I'm sorry, I have no idea what fresco is.
Michelangelo.
Heard.
Painting large images, large paintings on walls, ceilings.
Hence,
the
muralism.
structure
Muralism.
is
Yeah.
your
Okay.
canvas.
Thank you.
And I thought, how am I even going to apply this in the 20th century? What the hell am I going to do with this degree in, you know, fine art and muralism? Am I crazy? And then I went back to the United States and I thought, okay, I'm going to work in theater. I'm going to paint backdrops for theater, and then I'm going to use my expertise and quotation marks,
Air quotes.
air quotes, that
Hand talking.
that is going to like come about. And it did. And what I found out is that historical restoration work and people who wanted really unusual, you know, murals by people using old world techniques still exist.
Which is a fabulous segue into your Staples, Minnesota project.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap. All right. So you are doing a restoration of an opera house in Staples, Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
All right. Tell us all about this. You were mentioning this was a time capsule that now you are restoring and recreating. Give us the deets.
So how I even got the project is I own a loft in downtown Minneapolis. And it's that old school New York loft. It's not one of the fancy, super expensive lofts. It's old school. It's the stuff you see in movies. Certainly not the stuff you pay for now, but the stuff you see in movies. And I used to host these big events where like 100, 200 people would come to my loft and see, let's say, something on breast cancer, which is what happened at this time, where I met a woman named Colleen who went through breast cancer, agreed to do a photograph of herself with her mastectomy with these amazing photographers. And it was showcased in my place to raise money for breast cancer. The event was called Of Scars, and it would show the scars of women who had gone through a mastectomy. And at the time, I asked the photographers if I should take down a mural on a piece of canvas that I was working on. And they said, no, your place is really cool. Let's just keep it as is. So we had the event, and the woman who was the star of the damn show looked at my mural, and she came up to me and she said, I have this opera house in Staples, Minnesota, which I had no idea where Staples was.
I was going to ask, where the hell is Staples?
It's 2.5 hours away from here. You could consider it the Hamptons of Minnesota.
Northeast, south, or west?
The Hamptons
North.
of Minnesota.
Yeah. So it's where the lumber barons built their, in air quotes, mansions.
Really?
You know, summer homes, which really are like 10,000 square foot mansions.
The breakers.
And at the time in the early 20th century, Staples was the cultural center of Minnesota.
Cultural center?
Yes.
Ugh.
I am not kidding. 4 opera houses.
Yeah.
Like sophistication beyond belief. And
Right.
then the Depression of the 1930s killed it. But at the time, it was amazing. And I met this woman, and she really gave me a new lease on life. And that was creating murals and doing restoration work
Within
for
that
her
space.
opera house. Yes.
All right. We got to take a break, but we're going to come back. We're going to keep talking about the Staples Opera House restoration because it's totally cool. Stick with us, ladies and gentlemen.
You say that you still love. My story is much too sad to be told, but practically everything leaves me totally cold. The only exception I know is the case.
Welcome back. Ooh, that went badly. Welcome back to Drinking the Style. We have been speaking with Carter Averbeck from Omforme. The more you say it, the more you enjoy saying it.
Yeah.
Right? Johnson, hit us with an Omforme.
Omforme, yes.
Nice. All right. Before we get into anything else, Carter, you do amazing stuff. You have some gorgeous pictures, these Renaissance murals that you've done on Instagram that are posted and things. Tell everybody how they can check out the awesomeness that is Carter Averbeck.
Well, Instagram for one.
Okay.
Just follow me at Omforme, which is Omforme.
Omforme.
That's it.
Omforme.
Yeah, I think it's crazy that I've been able to create an entire career literally off of doing art and design. So, you know, case in point with this opera house, I mean, I met a woman who influenced my entire life in the past year and a half. Basically, because I met her for 10 minutes at a function I was having at my own loft. And there was a portrait of her with her scars from her breast augmentation for breast cancer. And she was intently looking at a mural that I was painting for a client at my house. And we started talking about the mural, and I, you know, it sounds trite, but, you know, because I paint murals on a regular basis, to me it's nothing special. And I forget that it's special to other people. And so she loved what I was doing. And apparently she never forgot it. So for the 8 years in between her calling me, she remembered what I did. And she kept on going around to different churches and government buildings and other places where I had done resuscitation of mural work or historical work. And my name came up so much that finally she called me 8 years later and said, I want you to do my opera house. Turns out it's one of 13 opera houses in the country of its kind. It's one where the Bavarian mural work that's there and the fresco work that's there has been there since the beginning, since 1907. It hasn't been changed, altered, painted over, any of the stuff that normally would happen to historical buildings.
So the place was shut down in, like, what year?
Mid-1930s, during the major part of the Depression.
Okay, so the Depression era shuts down the Staples Opera House. Everything gets locked in time
Yep.
through that period. And now it comes in, and it's a state project that they're trying to do the restoration on.
Oh, yeah.
And you are asked to do the full restoration of the space.
Yes, and the story behind that is she called me up and she said, I want you to do the restoration work. I need you to come up and do an assessment of the building. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And I drove the 2.5 hours to get to Staples, Minnesota from Minnesota, which really isn't very long, to tell you the truth. It's kind of like going to the Hamptons, right? It's not long.
Depending on where you're leaving from, but New York to the Hamptons is, what, an hour and a half? Yeah.
Hour and a half. It's around there. So I get there, and there's a whole line of people waiting there. I don't know who the hell they are, but I'm asked to do an assessment of the building. So I go around, I look at everything, and I realize early 20th century, Bavarian painting. They clearly only had one good artist doing the secco work, and everybody else was just sort of like farmhands or whoever who volunteered to.
Like, seriously, within the space, you think
Yeah.
the Opera House was done by farmhands?
Oh, there's a portion of it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stencil work within the Opera House itself. It doesn't involve the main fresco panels that were painted. And I saw that, and I realized that. And it's about understanding those aspects of what happened in time. So I came back to this line of people who I had no idea who they were. And I tend to be a very honest person, so I don't candy coat things. And I said, okay, this was the Grand Opera House for the time, for this area. It certainly has amazing acoustics beyond belief, beyond anything we have in the Twin Cities. But the artwork was done by locals and one really decent fresco painter. And then I extrapolated on that, and they looked at me sort of like in horror and awe. And the owner of the building came up to me and said, congratulations, you told the entire history of the building, anything about it. You're hired. I don't care what anybody on the board thinks.
Hey, not gonna lie, at OMFORME, your Instagram is dope as hell.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I sat back and just chilled. I was like, let me check this out. Man, that's crazy. And I love the way you do the multiple scenes where you can hit the picture and you can hone in on one spot, but you put it as one portrait. No, you're pretty good, bro. You're pretty good.
Thank you.
No, that's gnarly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Dan enjoying Instagram while Carter
Honestly, I'm
was
not
talking. No, it's true. He's
crazy. No,
it's
seriously.
absolutely beautiful.
That's awesome,
I mean,
man.
you do art. You're an artist.
But it's really cool stuff. Your repurposed furniture. I mean, it's sexy. It's got contour. It's got class.
I have to make that furniture look good for millennials.
100%.
I have to make it look good for Gen Xers who feel like they want to be part of like the here and now.
Yeah, man, you're knocking it out of the park. And some of those where you have like your furniture in front of murals that you've also done, like that's awesome, man. It's really cool stuff.
Well, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It is. So yeah. All right. So are you putting Staples Opera House pictures up? Are you doing the? Wait. Are you walking us through the restoration of the space?
I am. We got, and I'm doing it slowly because we have to deal with public funding from the state. So we've got public funding available, right? Meaning people who want to donate to the
Did it pass? Because wasn't it just recently voted upon whether they would?
Well, right now it's still in the voting process. But
should we rally people to call their representatives to support
Yes.
the Staple House?
Yeah,
or
please
the
do,
Staple?
because it's another part of making Minnesota cool. You know, and we already think we're cool, but this is another version of cool that we can add on top of it. So the governor of we asked for $8 million in state bonds That's an insane number to ask for a $16 million renovation, which we can only ask for half of it legally. So that doesn't mean that the governor and the state legislature is going to say, oh, yeah, we think you're worth it. They're not going to do that, right? They're going to look at it objectively and see where they want to place the money to help the state of Minnesota.
Of course.
Well, the governor recently, in about 2 weeks ago, said, oh, yeah, this is worth everything they're asking for. Everything. This will take a blighted area and make it a jewel in the state.
And anything that promotes tourism and destination locations,
And this is a destination like nobody's business.
It's already on my list now. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
I mean, it's insane.
Should we do a trip?
One of the Senator Gazelka walked in, and within less than 3 seconds, he went, "Oh my God, this is the Sistine Chapel in the middle of nowhere." And I'm like, yeah, yeah, it is. This is the amount of culture we had here that we've been ignoring for decades.
That's awesome.
So the robber barons tried to create a destination, a point of civilization in the wilderness. Because no offense to Staples, but folks here in the wilderness.
Well, they didn't have Netflix in 1907.
No chill, no Netflix.
You went out to an event and you experienced life.
And interacting with people? No way. No way.
And you can still do that today in 2020.
Wow.
So what is the plan for the location now? What are they going to use? Once the restoration is completed, what does this opera house, because I don't want to offend you, but opera is not that popular anymore.
Well, it's not about opera anymore. It's about a destination spot for
theater.
all kinds of performance venues.
Live performance.
So it could be a rock band, it could be an opera, it could be a theater performance, it could be a local performance. Apparently, well, not apparently, it is documented that Staples has one of the best choirs in the state. And I've experienced it, and they really do. That choir is beyond amazing.
So you're taking the opera house, turning it into a multi-use venue that is still true to its nature.
Yes.
That's field trip worthy. I think we should really discuss this.
I agree.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. You should come with us.
Are you doing?
And I'm not only the lead historian, artist to refurbish all of the decorative painting in the place, but I've also been hired as the lead interior designer to create the other rooms around it.
Oh,
so
Shantae.
It's an opera house, not an opera hall, and there's a difference. And I can tell you about that in the next segment.
Or next time we hang out, yeah.
Oh, God. There it is, my friends. Carter Averbeck, you have been a freaking delight. This has been an absolute joy. We've enjoyed the absinthe. I don't have time to do a quote, but ladies and gentlemen, Carter will be back on the program shortly. Stay with us in the future.
La 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 la.